It's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker, Adelaide Huisman, who's the Executive Director Audience at the Adelaide Fringe Festival. We've been very lucky, I think, to get a representative from the Fringe every year now for about the last 5 years or thereabouts. So Ella's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on this year and give us a bit of an introduction to the Fringe, which starts on Friday week. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having me. Now let me just see if I can get my PowerPoint. Sorry everyone, just let me get my PowerPoint presentation up. Where are we? Store and go. There we go. Excellent. So thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Adelaide Huisman and I am the Executive Director of Audience at the Fringe. My title used to be Head of Marketing, Ticketing and Digital, but about 6 months ago we had a structure change and now lucky enough to work directly with the CEO Heather Crow, who I believe you've all met, and I shortened the title to just be Audience, which captures everything that I look after. So that's everything from the ticketing system and the website to all of the signage that you see across the city, the guide, we create that in our team, and we also build an in-house registration platform, which is how artists and venues participate with Fringe. So that's a little bit of background there on my role. Now, I would just like to acknowledge that we are meeting today on the lands of the Kaurna people who have played such a significant role in the culture of our arts festival and greater arts community. Now the words on the screen there, Nina Mani, that's a Kaurna word and it says, are you all good? So when you say Nina Mani, you could respond and you could say Mani I, and that means that you are well. So that's a little introduction there to that. So Fringe, as we've just heard, starts Friday week and tickets are on sale. We go on sale in late November, early December, and we'll be running for 31 days and nights this Fringe. So I just thought I'd give you a little bit of a background on Fringe. It's a little not very well known how Fringe works. So 63 years ago, the Adelaide Festival started, the International Festival of Arts, and it's a curated festival. So like a museum or a gallery, all of the shows are chosen to come and perform in the program. And there was a group of artists who were South Australian and they wanted to perform, but they weren't selected. So they thought, stuff this, we're going to do our own festival, we're going to create the Fringe of the festival. And so 63 years later, here we are. We are for the people, by the people. So if you have a show, anyone in this room could put on a Fringe show. You just need to have the means to do it, a concept, and you have to find a venue and support yourself. You can't promote hate speech or do anything illegal, but other than that, it's pretty open slather. So that's a bit of background on how we are. And over the years, we've grown and grown. So this Fringe, we have 1,200 shows across 13 different genres. And we have a new genre this year called Eat and Drink. So you could attend a disco bottomless brunch in Clarence Park. You could go into a sauce making event at Lou's Place in the Barossa Valley. And there's a beer and dogs event happening at the Smiling Samoyed Brewery in Maiponga. So it's very diverse. The program is very diverse. We are back up on the number of shows, and that's obviously because the borders have reopened. So we have international artists back, which we're really, really excited about, and that increases the program by 14% on last year. We also work with the South Australian Tourism Commission and they support our ambassador program. So this year we have 3 ambassadors, Queen Kong, who didn't win but came as a runner-up on RuPaul's Drag Race, which some of you may be aware of. So she's got quite a big following interstate, and that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for people who have a reputation, they're quite well known, and they speak about Fringe and South Australia and promote visitation here. Penny Arcade, she's a bit of a legend in the art scene. She's from New York City, she's Southern Italian, she's quite crass, political, but her show will be brilliant, and that will be in the Pyramid of Light in Victoria Square. And then some of you may have heard of Sarah Milliken. She is a very well-known British comedian. She's here for 2 nights only and already completely sold out. But Sarah is our ambassador. Now in 2022 we sold just under 730,000 tickets, but our CEO Heather Kroll quite boldly claimed at our program launch that we're aiming for 1 million tickets this year, so I'd love your support in helping to get us there, and that's our drive, so hopefully we can do that. So a few highlights I'll go through. This Sunday we are actually hosting our Kamanka Paltiata welcome ceremony, and it's a free family-friendly event in the Botanic Gardens this Sunday afternoon, and that kind of sets the tone for the start of the festival. And so while the official dates of Fringe are from the 17th of February to the 19th of March, what you might see in the guide and on the website is that quite a few shows kind of creep in and start a little bit earlier. Holden Street Theatres, which is a wonderful theatre space in Hindmarsh, does this really well. So they actually start all of their previews on Tuesday this coming week, and what that does is means they're not lost in the noise. They attract a lot of reviewers, and they get really good reviews out early, and their theatre program is pretty impressive. So those first few nights at Holden Street are also a little bit cheaper, so as a preview show, but it's a great opportunity to see something and then not interfere with your whole season. So that's what's happening on the Sunday. That's the welcome ceremony, and then the next big sort of headline show is Electric Skies. So some of you may have attended Sky Song last year or heard about it. It was in McLaren Vale. It was supposed to be at the showgrounds, but we couldn't get flight clearance with the drones. So that was a bit frustrating, but it actually was spectacular in McLaren Vale with the rolling hills. However, this year, Electric Skies will be taking place in Puckapukanti, which is in Victoria Park. So we would have got flight clearance there last year, but there was a COVID vaccination centre in that space. So lucky for us, we can do this spectacular drones performance in the heart of the city, and that's 2 nights only on the 24th. Oh, I've written the date there wrong. Oops, 24th and 25th of February. The next one that's worth noting is our big festival of immersive storytelling, so that's Electric Dreams, and if you search that on our website, there's about 8 different shows that come under that banner. So there's a conference, a one-day conference with different art and technology makers from around the world. There'll be gamers from Mighty Kingdom. Last year, the gentleman who developed some of the characters in the Avatar film was here. So it's pretty international. It's a pretty international program, and it attracts people both in art and technology and just those curious about those, the way that we're doing things differently in that space. Volo swings will be taking place on the lawns of the museum, so you sit on a swing with a headset on and you swing into another world. So whether you're swinging into something under the sea, or there's one very similar to the Amazon, which is quite amazing, and something that we're really proud of is that we're able to support a totally wheelchair accessible swing this year. So those that are wheelchair users can still participate, which is we're really proud of that. Work.text is quite an interesting show. I don't want to ruin it for you, but there are no actors and there's a screen involved, so you sit down and slowly you work out that actually you are the show. So that's one worth checking out. And then Torrent is going to be a beautiful immersive dance piece on the amazing curved screens at Light, which is a venue in Light Square. They have this amazing fully spherical screen, and then there's live performance as well, and that's actually a really nice collaboration between a local South Australian dance company and an international game maker. So Torrent will be one to look out for. Silence will also be amazing. It is anything but silent. So it is a magnificently large volcano of pyrotechnics and drumming and lights and sound, and that's taking place in Elder Park on opening weekend, so not this weekend coming, the following one, for 3 nights only. The gates will open about 5:30, but the pyrotechnics and the actual show won't be till later. So if you do buy a ticket, it says it goes for 7 hours. It doesn't. You can kind of come in, you could go get dinner in the city and then check out the show later on. Okay. So, yes, this year, 1,200 shows, which actually equates to about 23,000 individual performances, which is just astonishing, over 31 days. It's one of the reasons that we don't have an app, because at the moment there aren't many app developers that can physically download that sheer amount of data at the speed in which a user expects it to be available at their fingertips. Edinburgh Fringe has done it. It cost them £4 million. So we're not quite there yet, but that kind of gives you a bit of a sense of how big our festival is. The other thing that we're quite proud of, and is a bit of a point of difference, is our average ticket price is only $35. We have a lot of shows that are only $10. There's a lot of family prices. So in terms of us as a festival, we're quite accessible in that space. I wanted to highlight a couple of new venues. So Wonderland Spiegel Tent, which has been here before, they couldn't come back because of COVID. They're reactivating Highmarsh Square with 2 tents this year, and they've got a really cool program, so that's definitely something to check out. A little bit closer to the West End than Garden and Gluttony, but another space that will be really beautiful. The Migration Museum, which is really exciting, so is actually a gentleman from the Fringe office, and he has hand-built a yurt, and it's sort of canvas and wood. Now, what he's done is created one with no central poles, so all of the wood structure is supported on its outer, so that there's no distraction of sight lines, so you can see everything throughout the whole space. It's a really beautiful venue, and they're also going to be putting shows in the little chapel in the courtyard of the Migration Museum on Kintore Avenue, so I would employ you to go check that out. Nick does a great show. You might have seen him walking around. He's in a big werewolves jacket, and he plays a game where you have to silently blink and kill people off. It's very interactive. It's very cool. It's a bit weird with strangers, but it's a good time. Fool's Paradise is also a brand new venue in Victoria Square. I was just chatting to someone, it's a brand new circus hub, so they're going to have the trapeze to try out if you're brave. I'm not, I will not be watching from the grass, but there'll be some really great shows at Fool's Paradise, including Penny Arcade, our ambassador, and a really excellent show called The Gods. So that's very funny, it's circus, it's silly, but it's a great show for the whole family. And the other venue that I think is worth mentioning, they've done Fringe before, but the Regal Theatre's been redeveloped and it's beautiful. And they have a program of nearly 13 shows this year, and they're all music. So an Amy Winehouse cover band, Creedence Clearwater, David Bowie, there's a Simon and Garfunkel cover band, Dolly Parton show. So I wanted to mention the Regal Theatre because they're doing some really great things this year. Now, I was just saying, I've embedded a video. Oh, it's not going to work. All right, we might come back to that. I was going to show you the trailer for Electric Skies, but we might not do that today. Oh, there it is. Oh, no, it's gone. Might need to buffer. I've run out of time. I'll keep going. We'll come back to it if we've got time at the end. So these are just some other show highlights that I wanted to mention. So Still Alive and Kicking is by Jill Hicks. Now, Jill Hicks was the last person found alive in the underground after the London bombing. She's an Adelaide local. She's got an amazing voice and she's a spectacular storyteller. And she's developed this really incredible show that she premiered at the Adelaide Fringe about 3 years ago at the Botanic Gardens venue. But she's been working with the team at Light Adelaide and has developed quite an immersive, really beautiful show. So that's one of my picks because she's just gorgeous. Jack's Ashes is a show based on cricket, if you couldn't tell. And that's a theatre piece, and it's actually being sponsored and supported by Cricket Australia, and it will be touring regionally. So we're really proud to have that here this year. The writer and actor Tim Marriott has developed this show. It's come over from Edinburgh Fringe and it's going to be here this year at Ayers House. So I would recommend checking that one out. And then Velvet Rewired is Marsha Hines. It's a sellout every year, so if you want to go, I recommend getting in early. They don't like to discount tickets ever, but there's a preview night, so it's a little bit cheaper. So if you'd like to check out Velvet, I'd suggest that. And then Chanson is a musical cabaret about France, and Orpheus is the tale of Orpheus, but told in a little bit more of a modern retelling. So there's a few there. Millicent Sarr is opinionated. Millicent Sarr is a very intelligent young Adelaide woman, and she sings hilariously political and feminist songs, and she's excellent. And she's actually developed a list for us on 40 shows that are proud female storytelling. So that's on our website if you want to have a look for that. There's some top picks there. Black is the Colour of My Voice is one of the most amazing theatre pieces I've ever seen. Afia Campbell is the actress, and she's coming over from Edinburgh as well, so that's about 3 or 4 sellout seasons at the Edinburgh Fringe, and finally she's coming here and to Tandanya, which is a really beautiful venue and just across the road from Gluttony. So if you've never seen a show at Tandanya, I'd encourage you to do that. Simply Brill, I've noted that they're actually performing in about 8 different venues, so you have no excuse to miss them. They're doing city and regional, and then Peter Gers, who I'm sure most of you know, he does a show often at Holden Street Theatres, so that's worth checking out. And Love on the Left Bank is Lou Blackwell, also a local Adelaide performer, and she sings just stunningly, and that is another French-themed show, which is a bit of a theme this year. Now, there's quite a big Taiwanese contingent coming over, so it's another thing that we've been working really hard with the Edinburgh Fringe and the Taiwanese Arts and Culture Ministry to bring this big contingent of shows to Adelaide. So there's 3 shows this year. One of them is See You, and one of them is A Touch of Formosa Heart, and they're both performing at the Adelaide Centre for Arts, just off of Light Square. That hasn't been a fringe venue for about 10 years, so we're quite excited about that. And it's developing to be quite a nice collaboration between Lewis Major, who's a local dancer and quite well renowned, he's toured internationally, and these local Taiwanese dance companies. Dance isn't something that I understand much of, but I went to see You in Edinburgh and I was speechless, and at the end everyone just roared to their feet and applauded, and it was just beautiful. I haven't seen A Touch of Formosa Heart, but See You is definitely a stunning show. Dusty Feet Mob is a young Aboriginal group, and they tell powerful stories through dance, but both modern and traditional, and this is their 2nd year at Fringe, and they've been doing really well and they sell really well, so I would encourage you to see them. Choir of Man is a bit of a favourite that hasn't been back for a while. It's a kind of a pub. The set is a pub, and they sing, and then you also can sing. And they did so well. They premiered at Adelaide Fringe with a British cast, and it's done so well that now they have 6 international touring casts. So they've got a local Australian tour, they've got a British tour, they've got an American tour. So Choir of Man is definitely one to see as well. Where are we? So as I mentioned, Fringe is everywhere. If you have an idea for a show, you can put on a show. So you can actually filter on our website by different council regions. There's shows in football clubs. There's a show in a laundromat. There are shows absolutely everywhere. So you can't miss it. You just cannot miss it. But yeah, interestingly, that there's more than 130 events outside of the CBD. So although we're called Adelaide Fringe, we have a much broader reach than that. So I also just wanted to touch, we're quite passionate about accessibility and about reconciliation, and so we've been working really hard over the last 2 years to put in place some plans that will actually paint a roadmap for where we're going to head. And so we're at the point with our Reconciliation Action Plan, we're at an Innovate wrap, which is the 2nd tier of a series of tiers. And we sat down as a team, we collaborated with the local community, First Nations artists, and the broader community to work out what our commitments are to reconciliation within our organisation. And we've got that in place. It's been about a year now. So we're really proud to be working on that. And it's quite a good talking point, and we now sort of have those conversations with our sponsors or people who'd like to partner with Fringe. We sort of, do you have a wrap? Have you thought about a wrap? And it's been really interesting and enlightening and heartening to see that people are starting to work in those spaces. Our Disability Inclusion Action Plan is a harder one. It's a more challenging one because we don't run any of the venues. So we didn't choose to put Rhino Room at the top of 31 stairs. That's a really big challenge for us because it has a lot of brilliant comedy and a lot of people can't access that venue. So through our Disability Inclusion Action Plan, it's more about advocacy and trying to encourage venues to spend the money to make their venues more accessible. But to have that in place means that it's a very good talking point, and we're really encouraging venues to move with us. And again, with the Sustainability Action Plan, we don't run any of the venues, so we're encouraging them to put in all of those sort of recycling bins and consider the supply chain of wherever their stock comes from, but it's more from an advocacy space and having maximum control, which is really difficult as a really big festival, but again, it's a conversation starter and we're really proud of the work we're doing there. I've done another embed of a video, but I don't think it's going to work. That's okay, we'll come back to that one. I'm nearly out of time. Oh, it came up. It's slightly delayed. No, it's not going to do it. It's no longer on my screen. I'll see if I've got a second at the end. So this is just a little bit about booking tickets, and I've had a lovely chat with a gentleman called Peter who says that our website is excellent, and I'm very proud of that. We spend hours talking about each individual button on the website, but you can still call our call centre. We only have a box office at Fringe Corner this year, not in Rundle Mall. Unfortunately, we weren't able to secure a space, but people are buying tickets in droves, so that's refreshing and relieving. But our website has some amazing features. So I just wanted to mention, when you're searching shows on the website, it can be really overwhelming. But if you know the date you want to go and the genre that you like, you can go to the daily planner. And what that will do is list every single performance happening that day in time order. And then if you say, I only want to see comedy from 7 p.m, it'll give you, 6 or 7 shows instead of 200 shows. So my tip is to click on the daily planner rather than all shows, and then choose the day that you're going out, and that will really help to guide you through the program. And then I just want to touch a little bit on the Adelaide Fringe Foundation, which is something that we're growing and really proud of the work that we're doing. My favourite part of the Fringe Foundation is our community fund. So through donations that we receive from our audiences at point of purchase and our donor circle, we buy tickets for underprivileged communities. So people that would never normally have the means to access Fringe, we buy tickets on their behalf, which actually then creates that cycle, because all of the money that we raise through ticket sales goes back to the artist. We just take a small 4% cut on the ticket fee, and that's our operational funds. But we're able to buy tickets, and we've already bought about 3,500 tickets this year already through the donations, which means that, people who would never normally come to Fringe can now attend. So we're doing a lot of work there. We also give out grants to artists who could never normally participate, whether that's through marketing or helping them book a flight or pay for very expensive accommodation. I was just saying that for an artist to come here and have to pay for 31 nights of accommodation, it can make or break your season. So if any way that we can alleviate the pressures of expenses for Fringe, that's what the Foundation's helping to do. So 20 minutes and 54 seconds. I think I've done pretty well. Thank you very much for having me. Sorry I couldn't show the videos, but you'll see them on television. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ella. Don't go away just yet. Would you like to answer a few questions if anyone's got? I think we've got a little bit of time, haven't we? So.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. So I'm all about goal setting. You said your CEO, Heather Kroll, has set a goal for 1 million ticket sales. Pre-COVID, had you ever hit 1 million tickets?
No. So,
so this is really groundbreaking.
Yeah, so the highest year was just before COVID, so 2019, and we sold 820,000. And then it dipped quite dramatically. At the moment, we're tracking 6% up on 2019, so we need to track about 10% up to hit that million. But I was actually also just saying that only 14% of our tickets are sold between when we go on sale and the beginning of Fringe, which is madness. So Adelaide, people do not buy tickets early, and that gives artists severe anxiety, and we get a lot of sort of panicked phone calls. So if you're thinking about buying a ticket, do it today, just to help an artist. It's really sad. Often you'll answer a phone call and the report will be blank because they haven't sold any tickets yet. But nearly 80% of their tickets will sell in those 5 weeks. So there's hope, but we need to just drive that early sales, and then the trajectory will hopefully increase towards that million. So yeah, well, I think we could probably do it. There'll be a lot of media about it.
Thank you so much, Ella. Great. I wish we could have access to those slides and go back to all your recommendations.
I'm absolutely happy to share it.
That would be fabulous.
Yeah, brilliant. No worries.
But I was very interested in the free tickets through the Foundation, having worked with some anti-poverty networks in the past. How could people actually access those, or do you send information out to the not-for-profit sector?
There is a form on the website to register as a business or an organisation that would like to receive tickets, and then ideally we would have money to support every single organisation. At the moment it's only 2 years old, so it's not very well known, so we don't have that huge problem yet of so many people emailing in. So there is, if you search for the Fringe Foundation Community Fund, there'll be a form where organisations can register, and then I guess in a few years it might be a point where we have to say no, but at the moment we're not really there yet. So if you do know anybody, we would really encourage them to reach out. Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else at the back there?
I did my annual pilgrimage to the Rundle Mall this year.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Only to find you weren't there.
We're not
what happened?
There. We were unable to secure a location is the line. I think, which we were, genuinely. We're not for profit, and I think there's been a change, Rundle management, and they've had a different fee structure and different expectations, I guess, on what they want in the mall, and we just didn't have the funds as a not-for-profit to pay. Yeah, really, so a bit of a shame. We have a brilliant partnership with the Adelaide Economic Development Agency, and I think they've absorbed the Rundle Mall Management Authority, so it's just a different structure now, and it just, yeah, hit us as a bit of a surprise a little bit late in the piece. We couldn't juggle to make it work. But we are open on Rundle Street at our head office, which is a bit of a walk from Rundle Mall, but we're there 9 to 5 Monday to Friday if you get stuck. And we can always just post out tickets if you want to give us a call. Sorry, I'm very sorry. Anybody else?
I've got time for one more.
Yep.
Yeah. Two more questions.
Is not a question, but I just wanted to make you aware that recently we had one of the artists who's coming for the Fringe contact our club to say that they had some free tickets for their show, and they'd been doing this performance for many, many years, and they're wanting to give back to community, and so he's reaching out to Rotary Club members to see if they would like tickets. So perhaps I'll suggest to him to also contact you with the community. The community fund, but yeah, I thought that was nice. We haven't had that before, but
yeah, that's brilliant. And I guess you guys are an engaged group of people, and you would know a lot of people, so artists would be looking to you, happy to have bums on seats, and we encourage this to say, go give tickets to hairdressers and cafe owners and people that's, you know, chat a lot to the public, but do it on your first few nights so that the word of mouth starts to run, because that's how Adelaide Fringe grows. It's how you sell tickets. So if they have a full house, even if only 5 people have paid, that's another 25, 30 people that are going to go tell everyone about their show. So that's a very smart artist there.
Yeah,
and
so if anyone wants some tickets, let me know. It's for Elvis and Elvis
great.
show. So,
yeah, very cool. It's meant to be brilliant, actually. Yeah. Anybody else?
You're going to have to ask a question, Rajiv.
Oh, there's one at the back, I think.
Yours is an important and large organisation, and to be congratulated. But I wonder if you could just say something about how your organisation is financed 365 days a year. I don't understand how you actually are sustained.
Yes, great question. We're actually going to put something on our website about the kind of pie, because we get this question very often. We are not for profit, and we have a voluntary board. So there is a registration fee for an artist to participate, which is $395 for 4 or more performances, and about $210 if you're doing 3 or less. So that makes us about $380,000 a year in fees, and then through sponsorship. So that's another pie, another slither. So Banker say our principal partner, and then we have 35 other partners this year. So they give a cash investment, and then in exchange for marketing or contra in-kind relationships. The government gives us a slither. Adelaide City Council also, but that's not a very big part. Our funding isn't huge. We did just get a definitive increase from the new government, which was a huge relief for us. So that means that we can continue with plans in advance. Sometimes we're just getting grants from the government 1 year at a time, and you can't really make much momentum in that space. And then, as I said, the 4% on the inside of tickets and the booking fee. So customers pay the $4.80, which you can buy 100 tickets at a time and still just pay one transaction fee, and then the artist gets everything but 4% of the ticket price. And I think that's all of the income. Yeah. Does that help? Is that helpful? Yeah.
Thanks, Ellie, for a very lively presentation.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I'm just wondering how, I mean, we all think the Fringe is wonderful and it's fantastic, really. What about those comics that, sort of exist throughout the year? Does the organisation do anything to keep them going? Because it's a pretty tough gig for them.
Yeah. Some people come to Fringe and they can make money to sustain them for the year. Some people come here and lose money. That is the reality of Fringe, and it's tough, and that's why the foundation now exists, because we're trying to find ways to really minimise that loss of income for artists. We have a honeypot program, which is an international arts marketplace, and as part of the artist registration fee, they can participate in that. So what that is we invite, and we do get some Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade funding at federal level, and we can bring in international programmers. So we have the people from America's Got Talent, we've got cruise ship people that program events on cruise ships. We've got people from New York Theatre Company, Broadway, all over the world. There's about 450 international delegates coming to Adelaide Fringe this year. And what that means is they can watch the shows in situ with a live audience. So there's a lot of marketplaces around the world, but it's more of a pitching model where you just tell someone about your show and they can't see it. But the beauty of the Adelaide Fringe Honeypot program is that the programmer is sitting in an audience looking at how the audience is engaging with this show that might then work for their program. So Honeypot's a big part of what we do. It's not very public facing, it's more behind the scenes in industry, but that sustains, and I think we have a strike rate of about 50 or 60% of shows being programmed in either the immediate year or the 2 years following. So it's got some great outcomes. Yeah.
Okay.
Great, I'm out.
No,
Thank you.
No, not quite yet.
Okay.
Not quite yet. So before you go, Ella, we'd like to present you with this certificate of appreciation. Wonderful. And also a Rotary teddy bear.
Beautiful.
And just let you know that all monies raised today go to Rotary community and youth projects, and your talk has helped that amazingly.
Thank you. It's been
Thank
a pleasure.
you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.